Good morning, friends, freaks, and just folks who like to watch a dude read the newspaper. It's thrilling to have you all with me again, and so we embark on a dissection of the number one selling newspaper in Australia, which is probably going to be full of things that are going to make some of us very angry. Who knows? There might be some good news. Let's find out. What have I got on the cover? Pretty standard telly cover. There's a woman in a white dress with some pink background and a great big headline. So this is a Sunday paper. There was some football played yesterday and overnight. But our number one exclusive story, 3 firms collapse owing millions as foreign workers unaccounted for. Footy greats gone bust. Bulldogs legends Chris Anderson and Kevin Moore claim to be victims of a sophisticated scam that caused the collapse of their 3 businesses with multi-million-dollar debts. Adding to Addison's pain is a personal $1.4 million tax office penalty and confusion over how many foreign workers his firm has sponsored to stay in Australia. Footy players doing business. Or footy administrators and execs doing business. Right, also in the straps, giant thumping, as in the slaughter of the Giants at the hands of Richmond yesterday. Teams generally choke up in their first grand final, but this is the biggest thumping since the Second World War, so in a grand final, so that's something. Also, Virgin Mary scandal, Kyle to stay in LA hideaway. Apparently, Kyle Sandilands has a Hollywood mansion. I would dearly love to see whether this is just a house in Hollywood. The woman in white is actually Sarah Budge, the partner of John Ibrahim, and they're talking about how the Queen of the Crosses lost $800,000 but stayed open. Could be making money is not the purpose of the operation. And let's leave it at that. And so, a favourite for new players is the Mick's Picks. Mick is the editor of the Sunday Telegraph. And he picks his favourite things in his whole huge... How many pages? 120-page Sunday newspaper plus the lift outs. So he tells us what's best. And what have we got? Claudia Carvan interviewing Deborah Mailman. Stars interviewing stars. That's what we're really after, isn't it? Wouldn't want to give an ordinary journalist a job. So the food magazine has Catherine Sabbath, the queen of Instagram baking, reveals her newest birthday cakes complete with foolproof recipes. I would put it to you that Instagram baking is more about the look than the taste. 3 with some nice use of white text on white background. They really put this together on the fly. Is more about Sarah Budge, with jokes about Budge-ette. Right, bringing sexy back as if it ever went away. Nadia Bartel on life after her famous marriage and what it's like to strip for charity in the new Full Monty. So just random ads, basically. The joke is apparently getting 5 stars from the notoriously hard markers at the Telegraph. I would also note that a lot of people are calling the new Joker movie the Citizen Kane of incels, which would go well with the target market of the Sunday Telegraph, which certainly runs a little incel heavy. Okay, Roger has come to visit us, so the real star of the show's arrived. Roger is a Sphinx cat, for those who are asking what the hell is that. Right, so Baking for Australia, the new Instagram queen of baking, I wonder who the last Instagram queen of baking was, probably we'll never know, is revealing the hot new recipes for the best children's birthday cakes, each with an Aussie twist, while eating a gigantic, either she's got a very tiny head or it's a gigantic piece of fairy bread. So, draw your own conclusions, folks. Rog, I'm not sure this is going to work, mate. Ooh, here's a nice one. Real news on page 3. Well done, Telly. Private schools get rate demand. Elite private schools that use public parks and sports facilities for free while spending millions building new classrooms on school open spaces could be forced to pay rates. The state government has asked North Sydney Mayor Julie Gibson to consider charging independent schools like any other landowner to take pressure off overused public facilities. Good. It's funny how quietly in the background good policy outcomes work away without too much interference by our political leaders. as long as they can get their mates' snouts in the trough. So kids told to take a trade in year 10. Teens keen to take up apprenticeships will be encouraged to leave school after year 10 in a bid to end job snobbery. You know, as long as it's proper vocational training where they're going to TAFE for continuing education, I don't have a problem with that. Probably sounds reasonably sensible. I've personally got a theory most people would be better off leaving school at 16 and doing mature age entry at 21 when they've actually seen a bit of the world and got some idea what they actually want to do with themselves. But no one made me king. Unholy remarks put Kyle in hiding. This is Kyle Sandilands again. Kyle Sandilands remains holed up in his Los Angeles mansion, which I do not believe, and will not immediately return to Sydney amid concerns for the shock jock's safety. The besieged Kiss FM breakfast host, who came under fire for controversial comments about the Virgin Mary, was due back in the studio tomorrow, but will instead broadcast from his US home. That'll thrill his producers. Kyle has labelled the Virgin Mary a liar and said she was impregnated behind a camel shed. He also suggested those who believe the words of the Bible were dumb as... I'm not going to use that word. Anyway, not a particularly clever or novel argument, and I might well have said similar things at some times. I might have left the camel shed out, just... I think he's blowing a race whistle there. But, you know... Carlos Sandilands' right to free speech is not the hill I'm going to die on. For all that, I don't think his comments deserve this kind of reaction, but we don't know for sure. There actually has been this reaction. It could just all be a beat up by his own people. Anyway, moving on. So apparently New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian is keeping secret her report on immigration and population. Which must be something really nasty in there. Model party ends in knife madness. The party at Tumbiumbi. Gate crashes with knives stormed at ends of school party. You know, I've gate crashed a couple of parties in my time, but I find drawing attention to yourself by brandishing blades is almost never going to see a warm welcome extended, nor for the party to continue very long, but there you go. So, an exclusive from Holly Burns, former footy wag, that's wife and girlfriend. Let's move on from that. Nadia Bertel will keep her famous married name for now, despite her acrimonious split from former Geelong Cat star Jimmy. The stunning 34-year-old lifestyle blogger and TV presenter is keeping mum on allegations her estranged husband cheated with his rumoured new London-based partner, Lauren Mand. That's a whole bunch of nobody's business, isn't it? I have my suspicions Nadia might have put that story in the paper. Exclusive. So Annette Sharp is the gossip columnist, is creeping into the news again. So Network 10 has hit pay dirt with its $10 million investment in South Korean reality show The Masked Singer, and the TV station is set to earn its biggest end-of-year ratings in a decade. Martin Scorsese has unveiled his new film The Irishman at the New York Film Festival. Some might call that entertainment news, but here we are, page 9, the guts of the paper. A new drug for cystic fibrosis. It's fascinating how the Telegraph keeps investing quite a lot of money in stories about U-Butte medical research that can be at any stage from maybe this will work up to... Well, they never actually talk about something that's actually been approved for human use and funded on the PBS so normal people can get it. It's always in sort of a comfortable never. So 2 pages on the Canterbury Bulldogs greats firm collapsing. Budget blowouts at Sarah's saloon. John Ibrahim girlfriend Sarah Budge's Sydney club has twice gone bust, owing big money, and ran up a $700,000 loss in 3 years. Some might wonder if a secondary trade is being conducted on the premises so lucrative as to make $1 million losses insignificant. So there's a holiday blitz on public schools, so that's some of them will get a lick of paint and maintenance. Maintenance blitz, just like every single school holiday. Right, so Australian grandmother Mary Lou Danley has told how she has found peace just days away from the 2nd anniversary of her lover's mass murder of 58 people in Las Vegas. Here's a story for the government. Andrew Hoff tells us Australian businesses will reap a multi-million-dollar windfall from their work on the landmark mission to the moon and Mars, NASA bosses say. They promise we'll get something for the money. So 2 pages on GWS fans. I guess the fans are more worthy of celebration than the team today. I mean, you know, making the grand finals. Good effort. So we've got a page devoted to the report on thrill kill teens. This is the Canada story. Pension age rise is not on the agenda. This is just Frydenberg with his review of the retirement income system. Retirement income system is a hot mess that doesn't achieve any of its objectives, and I have no faith in anything Frydenberg does to make it any better for anyone but some vested business interests who chances are he'll go work for when he finishes up in politics. There's a little story here. Streaming in cinema. Apple is creating cinema alliances that would allow theatre debuts for films created for its online streaming service set to launch in November. So really we're just flogging the fact that they're launching a streaming service in November, which I find slightly surprising as I've been using Apple's services to watch TV for years, but now they'll be chipping me $15 a month as well as everything else. Number of payments I make to Apple, I need to shut some of that stuff down. I mean, it's not like you don't pay through the proverbial for the phone in the first place. So the cod squad is trying to save Murray-Darling cod by moving them from areas where fish kills are going to happen. 783 Murray cod and golden perch. This is one of these, you know, yes, you've got a bloke in high vis with a fish, great, and it's paying dudes to go mess around in rivers in boats, and they're doing their best, and I don't have any animosity to them, but you know, you spend a couple of $1 million on that and you don't have to address or do anything about the vast extraction by the cotton irrigators and other major, mostly American-owned agribusiness in the Murray-Darling system. And it's like, oh, we saved some cod, let the whole system die. But look, there's some blokes, they're doing some stuff. Like, distraction and on distraction. 38-year-old Shannon McCauley is facing years in prison for drugs. Apparently has a taste for fast money, as do we all. Not that I'm selling drugs to finance my fast money tastes, just regular old work. Apparently fine dining buffets are the new battleground of the Sydney hotel wars. Sydney now has its first fine dining buffet, with 180 seats, soaring ceilings, flowing champagne and lobster tails on tap. All you can eat fine dining smorgasbord. Hopes of luring the booming buffet market. God. So we've got the the hotel war and the battle of the buffet. The burgeoning all you can eat market, just what the world needs. $197 per person, which for the right party, for the right occasion, does sound kind of fun. I do wonder if unlimited lobster tails would start to lose their appeal, but literally you can go down to Costco and buy a big box of them for not that much, which I'm pretty sure is what the hotels are doing here. The Pride of Australia Awards, as if we don't have enough awards for Australians, but the Telegraph feels the need to run one that's solely serving its agenda. Apparently there's lead in turmeric, great. Better have a look at this, huh? Right, so this is powdered turmeric, so any self-respecting health type will be using turmeric root, I would have thought, but apparently the powdered turmeric is getting adulterated with lead chromate, which is, as everyone knows, also a bright yellow pigment. Food standards are going to be a great battleground for years to come. Apparently Sydney's changing streetscapes have forced the fitting of special booties to the city's police horses. An increase in slippery surfaces, pavers lining the light track of the CBD being the latest sample, has been stopping police horses turning or starting a pursuit quickly. God, you'd be embarrassed to be brought down by mounted police, wouldn't you? Anyway, so they're putting some high-tech shoes on the horses' feet. I hope the horses like them. So page 33 is devoted to a new Cirque du Soleil show. So some would call that an ad. Our GP said arthritis doesn't exist in kids. Ignorance and inadequate expert health leaves children in pain with bleak futures. How dare they? Those doctors. Apparently barbers have become cutting edge, caught the Instagram effect or calls it the rise of the fashion conscious hipster, but the barber has become trendy again. Certainly a lot of people are drinking heavily at their barbers these days, which, you know, they seem to be having a good time. And so we come to the source, political gossip with Annika Smethurst, Linda Silmalis and Miranda Wood, not ticking all the boxes. So they're picking on a Canley Vale gentleman called David Tang, who's a member of the Liberal Party and guilty of some embezzlement. Which, if he's finished his term, I wouldn't have a problem with him being in any particular political party. The sources suggesting candidates should be vetted by them. This is exactly as uncomfortable as it looks. Roger, you're not going to fit. He's a very determined cat. Let's keep... Come on, out you come. Okay. No. No. Okay, Roger's going to have to get down. Come on, mate. There you go. Okay. He's lovely, but not particularly conducive to reading newspapers. What else have we got? CCTV investigation. The media loves getting their hands on CCTV mayhem on our roads. And they note festive hijinks at the end of the parliamentary year is in sight. And goof reels are being generated as they are every year, and they're never shown to the public, but they're out there. Someone might see one. The snitch tell us if Ryan Watsford has also lost the support of his co-conspirators in his drug importation case. This is the guy who John Ibrahim tore his eyebrows off. So it's all John Ibrahim related stuff. Makes you wonder what the real drug dealers are up to, doesn't it? Nothing particularly interesting there. Oh, okay, so we're at the wrap, and it's all about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle being out and about in Africa, which is good. Good for them. Canberra Raiders getting a surprising run. That's nice. They're normally ignored, but I guess they are in the grand final. So, racing. Escape magazine. Confessions of a Serial Cruiser. Wouldn't that be dreadful for that to be all you could say to achieve in your life? Paid some money, went on some cruises. Sat around watching people work. New thinking on breast cancer. Suggest you talk to your doctor. Wellness and beauty, luscious lashes, create looks to love, featuring photographs of women who would not be seen dead reading the Sunday Telegraph. I am many things, but an attractive woman I'm not. More is the pity. Back to Giants and their fans, back to NRL. Jeff Horn is still dominating. The man does make for some good photos, I'll give him that. Canberra Rugby League news is really getting a lot of space. Terry Campese playing for the Queanbeyan Blues has got half a page. Jessica Halloran's talking about Sonny Bill Williams. And we're back to Meghan and Harry. World News, page 82. Giving quite sympathetic treatment to Greta Thunberg. They must have realised that the Greta hate machine was not doing them wonders. And there's some mention of the fact Boris Johnson is threatening the country with riots if he doesn't get what he wants, which is a hell of a thing for a Prime Minister to be holding his nation hostage. Also, the only way to make sure MPs don't get killed is to do what he wants, which, that's very Hitler, isn't it? Early Hitler. Warning of bloodbath. This is Pakistan. Imran Khan's the treatment of Kashmir is quite something. And it's nice that the Sunday Telegraph's finally noting this months in. And then we've also got riots raging in Indonesia about the attacking the corruption fighting body. Protests in Egypt. This, I think, is running a theme of aren't brown people scary, which is going to create some cognitive dissonance when the UK, hopefully it doesn't, if the UK erupts into violence. Peter Gleeson, normally to be seen with Peter Credlin, calling the Chinese lending to Pacific Islands fool's gold, although compared to what American lending to third world countries has done, I struggle to believe it's going to be significantly worse. So Peter Credlin's sort of spread across 2 pages, not in a usual spot at all. Much bigger headshot though. Right. Green movement hides true colours. Cunning left uses guise of environmental issues to deliver globalist agenda. So she's saying, as a conservative, I've always been pro-conservation. At heart, I'd say most of us are conservationists too. At least in the true sense of the word, which is why poll after poll say people care about so-called green issues. But never mistake green issues for green politics or its latest manifestation of green activism. Then she goes on her bugbear, Jacinda Ardern, who's a much more successful female politician than Peter Credlin will ever be. Also, ACT Labor are a bunch of dopes. She's painting this as Labor's burst of social engineering, despite no consultation with the electorate. It was quite a lengthy introduction and debate on the bill. It wasn't rushed through. I'm not going to weigh into that, but it's interesting that it's lighting her up. Piers Ackerman's angry that Gladys Berejiklian's not getting more criticism because Donald Trump and Boris Johnson are getting all the attention, he thinks. Oh, we should look at who's getting the thumbs up. New South Wales Liberal Tanya Davies, who bravely took on her leader over sex selection, terminations and late-term abortions. Others who cared more about their future promotion prospects than good law ought to be ashamed to call themselves Liberals. Yeah, right. Thumbs down to the UN's Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Need to be understood by all Australians before it's too late. So the Telegraph editorial says the Giants have arrived and Sydney is the winner. Quite a few pages of property garbage. The buy, search, sell page is down to one page. So the 5-star review for The Joker. Well, I'm going to have to see this film before I cast judgment on it. The idea of the lonely weirdo resorting to hyperviolence. I'm not sure we need more of that right now, but that's what we got. 2.5 stars for The Goldfinch. 3 stars for The Dead Don't Die. Zombie hunters get stuck in art house detour. Wait for that to turn up on some streaming service. I've got a whole page on how great Mindhunter is, so we're still pushing Netflix very hard. Duncan Lay has devoted nearly 2 pages to The Art of Darkness and that anti-heroes and villains are ruling the big screen. It's going back as far as Silence of the Lambs in 1991. Oh, Godfather Trilogy, 1972. So the recent times we're very concerned about started in half a century ago. So music news is there's a band called Wax and Bernard Fannings likes them. Inside a Spotlight is Louis Theroux talking about how he's worried he's boring so he can be relatable to every other boring person out there. Duncan Lay's giving his thoughts on She-Hulk. He's worried about the costume malfunctions that I don't think are a problem in pre-recorded television. There's a story on how great David Koch is, which, boy, it's a tough sell. Annette Sharp wants to know, is Greta stressing out our children? Don't know, it depends. Are you going to do anything about climate change? James Weir has the messy secrets of Harry and Meghan's African circus. Messy secrets. And the whole back page is also devoted to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, so... Okay, thanks very much, folks. It's been a quickish one this week. Roger says hello. Come on, mate. Yes. He's had an infrequent appearance in this performance, but always the star of the show. Anyway, thank you for watching all the way through. If you've made it this far, if you've got friends who might enjoy this sort of thing, which I do realise is a very niche activity, please, pass the share on to them, or, share it in your own feed if you think that'll bring us the right sort of views. But, yeah, otherwise, have a great week.